Hi everyone, I'm Alifah Kareningrum. I'm a student from State Islamic University of Syarif Hidayatullah, Jakarta. I'm majoring English education, and in this video, I'm going to review 10 articles. These articles all related about the existence of orangutan, and I personally concerned about their populations and how countries around the world are act on their protection and conservation. Gratefully, all of the 10 articles that I collected are discussing about the Bornean and Sumatran orangutan. So, in this video, I'm going to mention lots of facts about their existence, especially in our own country, Indonesia. So stay tuned everybody. As we all know, orangutan is one of the animals which come to an extinction or endangered. So their population and conservation are matters. On the first article that I found, it mentioned that orangutan have a constellation of demographic, physiological, behavioral, and ecological attributes that make them highly vulnerable to extinction. Indonesian and Malaysian forests are disappearing, and orangutans on both islands are becoming increasingly isolated into forest fragments. Orangutans are particularly vulnerable to population decline and local extinction because of their life histories. The biggest threats are hunting and habitat loss. When one population is in decline, it may be too late to save it. Therefore, a precautionary approach is necessary to avert the extinction of orangutans populations. On the second article, it mentioned that orangutan populations are genetically differentiated from each other. This is because of the environmental differences. Cultural plasticity is the undisputed and dominant explanation for geographic variation in human behavior. It also suggested to hold for various primates and birds, but this proposition has been met with widespread skepticism. Human cultures show geographic patterning reflecting innovation and diffusion, and they incorporate more elements if they are open to influences from other societies. In the third article, the authors study if those generalizations also apply to orangutans and chimpanzees. The additional tests support a cultural interpretation of geographic variation in grade ape behavior and indicate fundamental similarities to human culture. In January 2004, there was a survey which produced a comprehensive picture of orangutan distribution on both Borneo and Sumatra. It indicates there were 6,500 remaining on Sumatra and at least 54,000 on Borneo. The number of surviving orangutans is much lower on Sumatra than on Borneo. The Indonesian president recently launched the Indonesian National Orangutan Conservation Action Plan. All efforts to monitor orangutans will be to no avail unless the decline in numbers is halted, and this requires a change in political will. Indonesia is a home to some of the most magnificent tropical forests in the world, but many habitats is under serious threat due to the increased deforestation. This problem is clearly stated that the huge scale of tropical deforestation in Indonesia goes faster than anywhere else in the world. It will definitely have the negative impact and endanger the wildlife, such as tigers, the bird paradise, and orangutans. From doing all the study of this article, found one problem about law enforcement and also about the one who is in charge of giving permission and right to give out logging as legal, which then caused a corruption, collusion, and logging practices out of hand. Forests disappear at such great speed that habitats for many wild animals are rapidly shrinking. The numbers of tiger and orangutan are plummeting. Both animals are endangered, and the populations might be extinct in 20 years. As for the bird paradise, which was threatened with extinction 100 years ago, managed to survive by the conservation measures. Logging negatively affected forest structure and orangutan food resources. Individual orangutan behave differently between locked and pristine forest, with moving more and less resting in locked forest. This indicates that orangutan food source is scattered. Their move to the lower height caused them to get easily exposed by the predators. Their habitats are exploited now or in the future. Therefore, with continuous logging occurs outside and inside the protected area, it is important for species and ecosystem conservation to understand how great apes react and potentially adapt to habitats with varying degrees of human disturbance. Orangutan, which is appointed as global conservation icons by this status, may provide the necessary to influence land use decisions and effective strategic policies to conserve this threatened species in the wild. The distribution of orangutan falls outside of the protected areas. Therefore, a large number of orangutan being killed each year. The land use types in which orangutans most frequently appear are logging concessions. Overall, better land use planning is needed. Apparently, social media has its own effect on supporting the orangutan organization's efforts on their work protecting orangutan, so that by using this kind of platform, people who had been concerned about how to save the critically endangered ape can act on saving one of them. There are social mediascape of orangutan conservation who is making some activities to support their organization's work. Some media social platforms, such as Twitter, help on giving information about orangutan. There is also a webpage about orangutan adoption. In one conclusion, being social activism to do good for the world is not only by signing petitions, but by donations, adoptions, purchases are one of the acts which can help organizations save the orangutan. By moving and explore beyond the current ethnographical focuses, people can seek not only to change the world, but also do their bit of good within it. Conservation area needs another principles and strategies to address the threat for orangutan more effectively, to reduce forest loss and hunting, and to play a much bigger role in habitat management. Despite the local progress and conservation success, the conservation movement has not done enough to turn the tide of the orangutan's fate. Companies plan an increasingly important role in orangutan conservation, which giving the permission to effectively address conservation goals, which are not always present for the government. The main responsibility for orangutan conservation lies with the Indonesian and Malaysian governments, which need to develop the financial and economic tools that allow their countries to continue economic development and not expand the few remaining orangutan habitats. The study, which has done from the last article, aims to investigate how the costs and benefits of a reintroduction strategy compare to those preserving wild orangutan populations in their natural habitat. Because funding for reintroduction or habitat protection is partly interchangeable. Facts by doing the study, which is that both strategies, reintroduction and habitat protections, cost efficiency is achieved by working in conservation forests, which means a proper network of protected areas remain the ultimate goal for a long-term orangutan protection. Although conservation planning might be thought as always long-term, but in reality, the decisions are typically made to time frames that are relatively short. In one conclusion, the fact that majority of orangutan live outside the forest with no conservation status implies that we must develop innovative strategies to manage orangutan habitats in a land which potentially threatened by agricultural production. From all the analysis and studies, in order to keep orangutan populations from its extinction, the conservation authorities and non-governmental organizations can start improve the integration which lead to an optimal outcomes for orangutans and other users of forest services. That is the review from all 10 articles that I collected. I'm saying much apologies for the mistakes that comes from myself. Thank you for watching this video. Goodbye everybody!